Has anyone had a paranormal experience while at work?
I was part of a joint task force chasing narcotic smugglers in the mountainous region between Kyrgyzstan, China, and Tajikistan. Our team, made up of experienced men from various post-Soviet countries, was led by a veteran Special Forces officer. On the second day, we stopped at an Uzbek village where an old man warned me, in Uzbek, about a place called Mirrors. We laughed it off and continued our pursuit. That evening we saw the mountain Mirrors shining in the setting sun and camped nearby. The next morning, while scouting a mountain pass, we stumbled upon ancient ruins with walls, towers, and gates. Our leader sent me down to investigate alone, as I had no family and was skilled at detecting traps. The ruins were intriguing, with roads like Roman ones and statues of bulls that seemed familiar but eluded my memory. We set up a position but eventually lost the smugglers. Returning years later, I visited the History Museum in Almaty with my wife and saw the same bull statues, Sumerian totem animals. It struck me that the Sumerians, who wrote about coming from a mountainous region with many rivers, might have originated from Central Asia. Was it paranormal? I don't know, but it left a lasting impression on me. When I first joined the IDF, I was stationed in Itam, guarding Israel's southern border in the desert. During training, I was often paired with an experienced Bedouin soldier. One quiet night, the desert was unusually silent. I mentioned it to my partner, and he told me the legend of Hashem, a grieving princess whose spirit silences the desert when she visits. My partner left, leaving me alone on watch. Soon I heard faint sniffles and then louder wails, but I couldn't see anyone. I radioed for help, but the cries only grew louder and closer. In a panic, I shouted for the source to stop, but the voice continued. Just as I was about to completely lose my nerve, there was a knock on the door. Expecting the worst, I cautiously opened it to find my partner laughing. He had set up the whole thing to scare me, hiding nearby and making the noises. For a while after that, I was jokingly called Hashem by my comrades. I still have the embarrassing picture he took of me that night, a funny reminder of my first scare in the desert. My dad was in the military and is probably the most practical person I've ever known. He doesn't believe in ghosts or paranormal activities, but one day his strong disbelief was shaken. His batch was an interesting one, full of joyful souls who would crack jokes and have a good time. One night, they received information through the radio operator about suspicious activities in an abandoned town where they were deployed. Street lights were bursting, and empty cartons were being moved as if kicked, but no one was seen in the camera footage. Knowing my dad, he would never refuse such a mission. So a team of 8 men was deployed to inspect the area. It was only a couple of kilometers away. They reached the main road, surrounded by abandoned buildings. There were 12 to 14 buildings they had to search, with only a few streetlights illuminating the area. The team was divided into 4 pairs of 2. My dad and his mate entered a building that gave them an uneasy feeling. They started inspecting the ground floor with flashlights in hand and rifles slung over their shoulders. The ground floor was clear, so they moved to the first, then the second floor, finding nothing unusual. On the third floor, which was like a living room with a chair, a ripped sofa, and a wall-mounted cupboard, they were searching the room when a piece of paper slid out of a door. There was no wind. The paper seemed new and freshly torn from a notebook. Both my dad and his mate were startled. My dad, ever practical and stone-hearted, aimed his gun at the door. He picked up the note, which was in a language he didn't understand, and put it in his pocket. As this was happening, his mate informed the other 2 soldiers standing guard outside the building to come up. My dad opened the door and found that the note had come from a closet. He stood there, stunned, for a solid 5 seconds. He didn't believe in ghosts, but was shaken by this event. He kicked the wall behind the closet, but it was solid with no passage. They immediately informed their camp about the incident and were called back. The note was handed over to a lab team for investigation. My dad still doesn't believe in ghosts, but he admits that what he experienced that night was heart-stopping. I had goosebumps all over my body while he was telling me about this incident.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.